Is it going? It's going. Hi, guys.
Welcome to Just Look at It.
Episode 13.
Episode 13. I love the number 13, by the way.
Oh, that's a good number. It is. Yeah, it is episode 13.
I always wondered why they couldn't let me get to the 13th floor. That was always frustrating as a kid. It's like, just get me higher.
I'm going to see if it's actually letting us stream. I'm hoping it's letting us stream on my Facebook too. Look at that. It is. Yay, yay.
Nice.
Okay. Hi, y'all. My name is Jess.
And I'm Reed.
And welcome to Just Look at It.
And we're looking at history and denial. This is going to be really exciting because...
Well, my favorite quote of all time is, I don't even know who said it, so I just call it my favorite quote. It's the only thing we learn from history is that we never learn from history. And I've seen that over and over. I've spent my entire life studying history because it's so much fun to see the patterns, to see how we behave, to see the things that we do. And when you can recognize the patterns, you can change patterns. And so I love history.
Yes.
But
so I guess
it's ironic.
I love it. I love
Irony.
history. I love the quote. And I'm just like, if what do you think? Are you the kind of person that believes that you can actually look at the patterns of history? Like look at what has happened and then actually change the course of history? Or do you think it's just like, it's just left up to chance and we're just kind of like, we're part of the program,
is it chance,
so
or
let's
what
just see
about
what happens.
Being predestined?
Or predestined.
Like,
I guess
that
the funny thing is that it would have the same result.
Right. And so those are some of the questions that we're asking today. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Because
can we change the future, or do we just live in the past and it just repeats itself over and over again?
Or
is it a little of both?
Right. And if you're jumping on, go ahead and drop us a comment. Let us know where you're from. Today we are in sunny Las Vegas. I should say smoky Las Vegas, although it's a lot less smoky than it has been the last week or so. But it is in fact sunny, and it's summer, which is nice.
So how about a little intro song? Oh, and also, if you are not seeing the red live thing in the top left-hand corner, that means you're not watching on the live. But that's awesome. Just hashtag replay and let us know, because we love to communicate with you.
Absolutely. Okay, take us away, Reed.
When the world's going crazy and you don't know what to do, just look at it. Said when the world's going crazy and you don't know what to do, just look at it.
You are so fun. That's a great intro song. Thank you for doing it live.
I mixed pop country and 1940s banjo music. You couldn't see it, but I had a little of that in there too. So welcome to Just Look at It again. And let's dive into history. You want to read from your book, don't you?
No, I don't know that I want to read as much as there is a section in my book. And if you haven't got it yet, just do it, because the ebook is $7 and you actually get some of the video book and you get some extras in there. It's really cool. But it's only $7, and I did that because I wanted people to be able to understand the complexities around trafficking and systemic issues in our society and stuff like that. So it's everything I know I learned from mypimp.com/order, and you can get that $7 offer. And it's pretty cool. And then we do also have a video book.
More than pretty cool. This reveals, I'm just going to plug this right now. This book reveals the underbelly, the undercurrent of what people do, say, and think in the U.S., because the sex industry is the very core of our emotional connection to everything we do and our subconscious. So
you know what?
If you want to dive deep into what trafficking really is, on a psychological level, but not only that, actually
But wait,
see
there's
it,
more.
actually look at the minds of pimps, the buyers, and everyone who just tries to solve the problem. It's incredible.
Wait, I think so many people
Blew
just
my
get
mind.
triggered by the title that they forget to read the subtitle. And the subtitle is Surviving Trafficking and the Anti-Trafficking Movement. And it was because when at the very end of my speaking and being very public with my story back in 2014, I would say frequently that surviving trafficking and surviving the anti-trafficking movement require two completely different skill sets.
Right.
And they do, because I was then navigating the religious, the anti-trafficking movement generally has it's a religious core. And so it's a moralistic core. And that's why they talk about, there's so much violence within it because they just want to kill everybody, like kill everybody, arrest the buyers, shame, and castrate everyone. And it's so aggressive that we miss like that they're people. And so it's the dehumanizing.
It's that we don't really step back and look at it. We don't really look at the situation, why anything's going on. It's kind of like for back of letter words. That's how you know you don't have words, when you start saying all of your words backwards. So it's what I've learned over the years is when you're in a tough situation between who's the bad guy and who's not the bad guy, you generally tend to go toward whoever is screaming the loudest. And so we want to go toward what makes us feel like we're justified in all of our actions. And especially if we've been hurt, most of us has been hurt, bullied by someone, if not by the system we're under. And so it's like, come on, guys, just step back, look at the situation without just putting your emotion into good guy, bad guy, because your good guy, bad guy is destroying people's lives everywhere. I mean, we just look at it very close at all. I mean, how many autistic kids need to be shot in the back before they send somebody out who's qualified, or we actually learn how to address these issues and qualify people so they can help people, instead of just sending out somebody who has a lot of military garb to handle the situation when they're under when they're suffering from PTSD
communities
themselves.
Need support, and we don't have support within our communities. That's actually what so in here, there's a section called History in a Nutshell. And it is one of the most powerful things that I think I've ever written. It's only about 3 pages long, which is wild. But it was basically looking at like humans as we emerged from like the last ice age and survived. That alone was so much trauma that we are just wired for survival. And then as life went on and the way we communicate, the way we share stories, and then like over the last 150 years, like a psychology counseling in itself is only 120 years old.
Right.
And so, but yet trauma has been around forever, and how we handle it. This was the reason why I didn't go to school. I had the opportunity to become a psychologist, a psychiatrist, a counselor, a therapist, to something. And as I studied history, I was like, no, there's got to be a better way, because we're working with a new system. And that system had limitations. And I understood that because I was already working and coaching people. And so that is a huge part of what is in this book. It's like how to actually help, how to actually see what the hell's going on, and then go deeper. And actually rehumanize people and go, okay, we need to look at these things because we do things for reasons. All of us do things for reasons. What are those reasons and why? Like the people who, the boys who abused me when I was young. Why? My pimp. Why? Why did he do this? And it's because we have these systemic issues that we're not addressing in our culture, that we're not seeing, that we're not boldly talking about. And that just creates these giant pissing contests and dehumanizes people. So there's that. So I highly suggest that you read this History in a Nutshell, because it really breaks down like how powerful the printing press was, and how that completely and radically changed slavery from being classism to then being racism. And it wasn't until the printing press and how we communicated, because it actually broke down the community in such a way that instead of learning from the elders in your community, culturally, that was how we did it, to now being alone and reading a book. And it really, really just changed the psychology of how we relate to each other, how we communicate, how we learn, how we grow. And all of this started because of Twitter this morning.
Yeah. But I can see this psychology behind it when the printing press gave people more access to information faster, and when it was really just like only local news, and it became more widespread news, with campaigns in order to traffic human beings, it became really easy to be able to go, well, this color of skin is more desirable, because they could put words behind it, and they could just, like, for lack of better words, rape people's minds into ideas. And that's kind of what marketing does. It really just, it permeates our brains, and it, especially with social media now, it's like it's gone from printing press to social media, where it's like, but if you think about it, it's very similar, because you've got social media where it's like these are the places you hang out. And during the beginning of like news being spread in this strategic way, where they could just go from city to city and spread the same exact message, that's exactly what Facebook is. That's exactly what Twitter is. It's that we're hanging out in these places, and this is all we know. And this information is just coming streaming in. It's just like someone standing on a street corner and going, so-and-so dictator is going to be taken down, and everybody just believes it. And so they jump on board, and it's like, this is what you can do to take him out. And it's still being done today. It's hype.
It's all hype.
The hype that they could use in the 1700s is still being used today in the same exact way, but we just look at it like, well, because of technology, we have the ability to be brainwashed. No.
We've always had the ability to, right.
People actually spread their information differently now. It's an even playing field, but it was very one-sided. If you look back, especially early 1900s, like super rich were mastering marketing so as to keep themselves in power.
Right. Well, the crazy thing with the printing press is that it actually made it to where like concepts were able to be spread without a relationship.
Yeah.
And so when you have media just entering your brain, and that you start to believe it to be true, and you don't realize, this is why we taught our children like marketing and branding before we taught them to read, because you need to be able to decipher like what's a logo, what's a headline, what's marketing, and all of those things before you can even read what it says. And it's amazing how like 2-year-olds, if you can play, by 2 and 3 years old, you can play slug bug, it's like, oh, there's a bug. You just, punch the person next to you gently in our family. But you can do the same thing with logos. Like we would play all different games, but one of them was like only spot the car logos. And so like everywhere we'd go, we would just like only spot the logos that belong to auto manufacturers. And it was so fun, but the kids could get it, and they could decipher what was marketing, what was opinion. Like you can see those things based off of font, based off of positioning, and know that everything is skewed because it's the opinion of the writer.
Yeah. I think when you look at it from that angle, from that kind of educational standpoint, it becomes a lot more impossible for people to fool you with words, where I've just seen it time and time and again, and with our own clients, where they're like, a couple years ago, 6 months ago, I got into this program, and I believed it was one way because they said that this is what it can do for you. But when they got into the program, and this is really common in most marketing, even the better people who are coaches, knowledge type teachers, there's all different angles they'll come at it. But once you get in, you're expecting it to be like total fulfillment. But you got to realize that that's the marketing is total fulfillment. If you're talking about marketing your business, the best way you can market that, like starting your own business, is total fulfillment. You'll have the best life. You'll have the life of your dreams. And in reality, of course, it's like actually you'll have to do like 10 times more stuff or figure out how to delegate it when you've never done that in your life online. And then you're just going to magically come up with a formula to market your thing based on the information we give you. And that's what they're really selling you, is like how to market your business and how to set it up to a certain extent. And then they sell you higher levels of coaching. And I'm not dissing on that idea that it's just like, no, don't do this. But being aware of this is so freaking important.
Seeing through marketing, like just being able to go, okay, what is it that I'm actually getting? What are we being told here? And how many times just with the news media do we see like it'll be the same article but painted with two different slants to go out to two different demographics? Who is it? The New York Times that's known for that? Like if they send one bundle to like a Republican area and another bundle to a Democrat area.
Yeah.
And they have similar articles, but the headlines are totally different.
Right. Like you've got Chicago versus New York. Like, I mean,
but that's a common practice.
It's a very common practice. West Coast versus East Coast. The news from the New York Times is actually different than.
But that just being something that they're like, ooh, we're exposing this and that this is a reality. It's like, yeah, this is why I'm so grateful for my experiences in the sex industry, both trafficked and as a sex worker, because I had the opportunity to see the bullshittery, like early. And that was so much of what Martin taught me. Martin, my pimp, was like how to actually see it and then do it and then exploit it. But you don't have to exploit it. There's so many times what is really bad is really close to what is really good. It's just twisted. And that's how the bad gets veiled. Like you can't quite see the negative because it's veiled with this positive. And then you get so far in, quite frankly, religion was that way to me.
Yeah.
All I saw was the good. It wasn't until I got in that I started to see all of the hypocrisy, the problems within it. And then quite frankly, there's a difference between the church and then the actual beliefs. Right. And how whatever church you attend upholds said beliefs.
And churches can use only parts of their own belief in order to further their cause. And that's actually one of the most common things. So if someone has an addiction to being true to themselves and they join a religion, it can be very shocking when you finally find out that, yes, your intuition was right. The things they were talking about, they actually do, and you're uncomfortable with them. But the benefit was so much greater than maybe the awful nature of what you experienced, or just the things that you were uncomfortable with that you just did, and it wasn't being true to yourself.
When the exile is brutal.
Brutal. You're right.
What ends up happening is as you start to wake up, you start to lose your friends and you start to lose your community, and everything you ever knew starts to just completely disintegrate. And that's a terrifying place to be, because you know that if you speak your truth, there's a lot of ugly that's going to come back. And yet I felt so compelled that I couldn't not speak my truth. I couldn't not. That's part of my quirkiness in my brain, is that I'm not really able. I think we were talking about this last night. It's because I was like a master manipulator. I was so good at it. I lived under a false name for 4.5 years. Like I truly became this different person and had all of this, I was anybody I wanted to be, and anything that when I finally came to the other side and was like, no, I'm going to heal. No, I'm going to work through this because I don't like who I became. I decided to change again. But in that process, I was like, I have to be true to myself. I have to do what I know is right. And what I know is right is calling out the bullshit and calling out and working through the issues, because I just wanted to be okay. That was my goal more than anything, was like be able to love myself and be kind to myself.
Yeah.
And I couldn't do that while living in that manipulation system. And I just don't do anything halfway. I'm a jingle all the way kind of person.
Right.
So that
I feel like that's
so it's been 20 years now of that type of intensity, and it's an addiction just in itself.
well, you married
an
someone
addiction to honesty.
You married someone who is similar in that I don't keep secrets really well. I don't hold in secrets well. If I ever have a secret, it doesn't last very long. If it's shameful at all, it just
you need to make
out.
a distinction here. Yeah. There's a difference between holding other people's stories and then holding your own story.
And I think maybe like early 20s, I pretty much tackled the whole like, oops, I told someone else's story thing, like not trying to be mean, not trying to gossip. But that was an issue with me. Like, it was mostly around surprises, like with birthdays or something. It was like, I would drop a hint, and it was just
he could not keep anything in. It was like, we're planning a surprise party and he just like says it. And I'm like, I can't tell you anything. Like, why? But then you tackled it. You did a great job.
Yeah, that only lasted maybe a year or two. And then I got really good at it. And it was and then it was probably like maybe a little bit the opposite extreme, where it's like, I just want to let you know that this could happen, so you just got to be careful. Don't tell anybody. Yeah, so it's been quite a journey with that. But where were we? With religion specifically, I noticed that there's a common thread, that when we're finally like shocked and in awe coming out of a religion that maybe we were converts to later in life, there's this like, I didn't see that coming, how dare them? And I feel you, like there's a whole lot of shit that is not okay. But there's this point where we got to take responsibility for our own actions. And maybe we had great intentions, but at the same time, there's the things that we say we don't want are the things that we end up doing. So if we've had a lot of trauma in our past, then we'll probably go toward a religion that represents some of that trauma. So there's a comfortability about it. Like we're able to fit in.
You blew straight past something that was really powerful to me.
Okay.
It was about being converts as an adult. Because like we were both raised in cults, different types of Christian cults, but then both of us right before we met each other had become born again Christians, like just Bible believing, Jesus based Christians. And that being an adult convert, I don't know. I just had a different type of fire, a different type of passion. I was very, very zealous because I jingle all the way. But in doing so, it left, 10 years later, this massive like backlog of shame, because I was I went into this as an adult seeking answers. And I felt like I led like thousands of people down a path of additional shame. And that was really, really difficult for me to process through and just come out the other side, that it's like I was doing the best that I could within a system. But then once I understood the system, once I studied the system, as I do, like I have to go deep and I have to study the history. As I did, I asked questions. Then because of my story, I had access to, these amazing theologians that were celebrated, globally. And I asked questions and I was like, why can't they answer? Like what, why? And you know what? That actually brings me to something. I'm naming a program. Y'all are my creatives out there. So my creative people, for like the last 15, 16 years, we have had this like 12-week program that I have built, my mom built, we've refined it over the years, but I need to name it. It doesn't have a name. Like I've used it in different contexts, but
we'd use it in conjunction with, we'd have all of these ways of of not naming it, basically.
Right.
So
And so like I wrote this 12-week program,
okay.
and it is about self-healing.
Yeah.
And like fully taking ownership of your life, changing your everything, healing the deep wounded parts that hurt so bad, because we get stuck in this like emotional constipation and just pain and denial and hurt. And like there's so many extremes because trauma presents in the extremes.
Yeah.
But I see things in patterns, and we've developed this.
So this is the program that we're wanting to develop right now, specifically.
Well, it's already developed. It's just not named.
Well, correct.
Like
But we're wanting.
it's
sorry,
been in
I
my
said that
brain
wrong.
box. It's been in my brain box for a long freaking time.
The mastermind that I'm starting with just 5 people per mastermind. If you can't now, then you could probably get in November or December.
Mm-hmm.
But just know that the mastermind that's starting in October is like, it's just starting like very soon.
October 6th, right?
October 6th.
Starting October 6th, but
Yes.
it's the program that they're actually working through. And
So we're working through sexual trauma,
right.
and religious shame specifically.
Right. The program was written specifically for, I mean, it covers all abuse, but really focusing on sexual abuse and spiritual abuse or religious abuse. And so, because those were the things are so intimately tied, they're connected to your sexuality, they're connected to your money, your abundance, your freedom.
Yeah.
That those seem to be the key roots that really needed to be addressed. And so give me a fun name. It's a 12-week program done in a small group, based on self-healing, being your own damn hero, and
knowing, I guess, knowing the avatar, the type of person, like people who identify as being addicts or being addicted, but don't necessarily want to stay addicted. People who have gone through different religious groups to try to heal their sexuality or their anger, and shame in relationships and religion.
So let's name the program.
Let's see what we come up with
because
here.
I don't like stuffy names. Like I've been playing with, self-healing and human badassery and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, I just need to name this program that my mom and I started this together 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Her and I, like, we had our first module 17 years ago.
Yeah.
And so it has been something that we have worked on for a very, very long time.
Exactly.
My hair.
Got a hair right.
Right. I know, they get stuck in my glasses.
Oh, it's from the other side. There we go.
Right. Yeah, there's hair everywhere. Oh,
Beautiful
so
hair.
guys, we love you. You guys are totally awesome. I hope you're having a great day. And you know what?
Yes.
Go deep, study history, because it's so fun. Because you know what? If you lived through it, the memories aren't going to kill you either.
No.
But studying it can give you a better perspective, and that's where you can learn the lessons from what you've experienced, what the world has experienced, and we can do better, go deeper, and live freer.
Absolutely.
I love you guys.
Love you guys. We'll see you next time.
Absolutely.